At this time of year, in the autumn, bird watchers would come to the Scarlery Railway, and the little engines would take them around the hills. Bird watching is usually common, as birds migrate during the cooler months. They hope to see a very rare bird. Rusty the little diesel was fascinated by this hobby, as when he pulled the maintenance train to inspect the line, he will often see birds popping out from the trees. It's peaceful, he will often say. At the sheds, Rusty was telling the other engines what type of birds he had seen. The other engines were amazed at Rusty's knowledge of it all. But Duncan didn't care. Who cares about seeing birds? They're just birds. Rusty was taken aback. There are many birds that you don't get to see that often, Duncan. Sometimes a rare one. Ha, a bird's a bird, replied Duncan crossly. How rare is it? The next day, the think controller came to see Duncan. Duncan, it is your turn to take the bird watchers today to their spots in the mountains. Bird watchers? I would rather take the maintenance train than that. That is Rusty's job, and you're the only engine left to do it, so take it. So Duncan puffed away. Meanwhile, Rusty was taking the maintenance tray to a piece of track that was to be checked over. He was still cross with Duncan the previous night, but he's trying his best not to think about it. As he parked the train at the spot, he was looking over the countryside and trying to spot some birds. Then he noticed something high above the sky. Bust my buffers, he cried. What is that? Rusty couldn't make it out, but it looks like it has wings. It's not a bird, he asked while trying to make out what his bird looked like. I don't know, replied his driver, but I never seen a bird up that high before. Then we might have seen a rare one. We better tell the bird watchers, replied Rusty excitedly. But what about the workmen? Said his driver. The foreman overheard the conversation earlier and said, Don't worry, it'll be on the way back to fix this part of the lineup. You could go on ahead, he smiled. So they uncoupled the train and Rusty sped away to the bird watchers. Duncan arrived at the bird watchers' spot as they clamber out of the coaches and get ready to set up their cameras. Duncan was still grumbling. All they're doing is just seeing birds. Suddenly, Rusty pulled up. Rusty told the bird watchers that he thinks he spotted a rare bird. Splendid, they said. You lead the way. And Rusty did. When they reached the spot, the bird watchers looked out. When they saw it, they realized it wasn't a rare bird. It was a glider. Sorry, Rusty, you must be mistaking it. It's a glider, not a bird, one said. Oh, said Rusty. I thought that was a rare bird, he said sadly. Just then, they heard a screech somewhere within the trees, and soon a big white shape came looming from one of the trees and flapped down to land at Rusty's cab roof. The bird watchers were surprised. So was Duncan. What is it? Whispered Rusty. It's a snow owl, replied one of the bird watchers excitedly. But I thought it was only coming at night, replied Duncan. Well, some do come out at night, Duncan. A snow owl is different. They hunt during the day and usually spend most of their lives in the remote Arctic. And for the first time, Duncan was impressed by a bird. The bird watchers observed the owl, and some are taking pictures of it. Then the owl flapped away out of sight. Well, Rusty, it seems you had that extra great spot after all. Everyone laughed and agreed. I take back what I said. Bird watching sounds amazing once you see and know something like that snow owl. Indeed, Duncan, agreed Rusty.